All right, well, real quick, here we go again. I'm doing this because something came up, so I have to explain it to you, is to show it to you how the psyop works. It involves Trump at this point and so-called amnesty. Now, here, Trump announces he's working on mass amnesty plan for illegal aliens after passing big beautiful bill. Obviously, he's not working on a mass amnesty plan, right? He's working on a work visa plan, right? And it's not amnesty. So they call it amnesty to make Loomer and all the nutbags freak out, right? Right. Trump floats amnesty is on Drudge. It says deportations remaining low. I mean, deportations are working because what's happening is your deportations, as long as they're not getting in through a secret tunnel or something that we don't see, right? So you need to scan for those also. Right? Because remember, you pulled some people off the border to do some interior work. You know, these may have been people that were scanning for tunnels. So we got to make sure that that work stays up. Again, that was my brainchild from 2007 or so, or 2008. I said, you got to do everything they do in Korea. That's what I told them. Right. Because that's what came up when the problem came up in 2007 or 8 was that, you know, this is something similar to what we're dealing with Korea. So therefore, there are probable tunnels and everything else. Sorry. So make sure your tunnel scans, you might actually want to increase tunnel scans. I don't know who does those. Maybe you pull in some more military for that. They only have to be assigned if you use some things. Talk about that later. In secret. All right. So, well, because Biden may have had and Obama may have had more deportations, but they had more releases into the community also. So you never got forward of it. Epstein had 1,000 victims. I don't see that. Maybe he did. He may have been part of. Okay, so what happened from about 2008? That's why I was wondering. I was wondering this a little bit. From 2008 forward, we started busting the big pedo rings. And when the FBI actually did pick up Epstein, I believed that he had connected to a pedo ring, I believe possibly in Europe, and they were, you know, shutting him down so he couldn't do that. But I'm not sure. I don't know for sure about all of that. But so again, after Epstein was arrested and supposedly gave information and was supposed to cooperate with something, there were a lot of arrests of pedo organizations. It could just be a coincidence, but including prostitution. And some we don't even know about because they're European and stuff like that. Like we don't, some involved U.S., some didn't. All right, hang on, I got to get my drink. So what they're doing is they're calling it amnesty. It's not amnesty. So if you do anything, you say this is a work visa program. They're not being guaranteed anything. That they should not be made citizens because that'll anger. That'll cause a major. I mean, if you want to do it, fine, but I don't believe so. I believe at this point, at this stage of the game, they should be given work visas. And then once you get that number of, again, you got to work with the Labor Department, you got to work with agriculture, you got to work with, DHS and all that. And you got to figure out what is a legitimate number of work visas. And I'm not sure where the administration is with it because they can keep going back and forth. So you're being manipulated by something. And you got to stop that thing because you look wishy-washy. Right. I guess that's a word from the past, right? Wishy-washy. Yeah, I use government language that hasn't been used in like 20 years, right? Isolate me. What am I going to do? I don't know. Maybe you use it. I don't know. Thanks, Larry. Thank you, Larry. Again, also they have a road rage scam. I'll go over that later. I don't really have time now. I got to clean up around here and do some stuff. Hang on. Or maybe I will. I don't know, but probably later. Now I was watching. I watch a lot of cop videos, like arrests and stuff. It helps me stay abreast of what's going on and what the attitudes of the cops are, and what how they're maintaining discipline. And I'm not saying anything about that where the cop resigned, but it doesn't look good. I mean, if he resigned, he probably did something. Right? He may have. Who knows? Could have touched the kid for all I know, but he may have been spiteful, right? And just did it out of spite. I mean, that's what's going on around my life. They do things out of spite, right? So again, you don't get that the word amnesty. You're not looking at. I don't believe you're looking at total amnesty. I don't think you're going to give them permanent resident status, and you shouldn't, because what you need to do now is you give them a work visa, and then if it looks right and it looks like it's going to work, then you decide one by one, case by case. You say, well, we have a program now that these work visas, after so many years, will be turned into a green card or something, right? Which is what the system's supposed to be, actually. Right. You get somebody who comes here, works for us for 5-6 years, and they apply for the green card, and then they get it. That's what it's supposed to be. Right. Maybe even 7 years. I think 7 years is probably better. My wife had to wait 7 years, I think, for her citizenship. Well, back then we were a normal family. There wasn't like, oh, my wife got in trouble because, she was yelling at somebody, or she had used drugs and drive because they gave her so many freaking drugs. Deep State ruined her and me. In other words, if they weren't cursing us, I had no idea what was going on. I knew something was going on. If they weren't cursing us, my wife never would have had that accident. So I'm glad that I never blamed her for anything, even before I knew the truth. Okay, Larry. She's just a less capable person, not capable of dealing with those things. And again, she had a lot of the accident and everything at a certain point. She was already, kind of going. I actually fixed her mind, and she was, getting well again. And then they did something. Right? Thinking the accident was a big trigger. She may have had lower lumbar issues, and may have been one of the bigger parts of it. I don't, I didn't know about anything back then, really, when it came to, MRIs or anything like that. Right, I had to them do a full set of MRIs and all sorts of things. Right. Well, but she had such psychological disorders that would make her reach out to medicine, to drugs, if they put her on it. Right, to forget everything. If yeah, you're right. That's one of the things they do. They've tried it with me, trying to get me on drugs, trying to get me in alcohol, that kind of thing. So we're going to do the Kadoosh. The Kadoosh. God made it to come out like that. I mean something, right? So you have to fix that, because what they're trying to do is trigger you, like, oh, you're going to do amnesty. No, he's not doing amnesty. You're going to do work visas, and that's where it is now, and that's it, right? That's all it warrants right now is work visa. Then when you put them on the work visa program, and they have to report, and they have to maintain a certain life, then you can, later decide, after how many years you decide, that you'll give them permanent residency, right? If so warranted. Thank you, Larry. So you have to delineate. You have to tell them, no, this is not an amnesty program. This is a work visa program. And it'll be renewable, but they have to maintain to renew, right? And of course, anytime they do something wrong, then they're gone. Amnesty means that you get to stay indefinitely, right? I don't believe there's anything before the administration that's doing that. That's that's how I hear him when I'm talking. Yeah, working a psyop in an LDS church does not fit that. They're trying to sexualize me. Face it. I mean, I'm sure it's like somebody connected to CIA or FBI or something. I mean, Cash Patel doesn't run every operation. I'm telling you that. Because they got decades of scamming the director under their belts. And now there's, what's the other guy's name? Oh, what are they kidding? They're going to be multimillionaires. That's all you know. Yeah, he could be working for, what's that guy's name? Project Veritas. That scam. Could be a Project Veritas scam or a Democrat version of it. Right. Doesn't mean it's politics. They all work for the same devil, the same Satan. There's trouble with Bo. I'll tell you, this guy, this whistleblower, is credible because Bo said and did so much nasty stuff. Right. If he's going to be a judge, you don't understand. I mean, he could still get there, but you don't understand how it works. You're not supposed to say anything. And you are supposed to like go through a process. Right. What's his name? Diggs or whatever, Driggs. He's trying to explain it to all of you. Right. It doesn't look like they're going to, he had to move fast to get rid of the Iranian regime. Right. But it looks like China and Russia are going to back them. If the people revolt, then there's probably nothing they can do. Right. That's where it takes what it takes. Well, I think you'll get a little bit. What are they doing in my language? Out there. A little bit of the Wicked Witch of the West, I guess it is, or East, West. Which one is it? Which Witch? You'll get a little bit of the when they overthrew the Wicked Witch. Everybody's like, we're happy that she was gone. So you got some of that. And again, Pahlavi's trying to work that angle, right? That there'll be a place for them in the future, right? Thank you, Larry. Well, China and Russia can't do anything if the people revolt. And that's just the way it is. Right. Giant bugs and heat. Well, yeah, that's Florida. I'll tell you what, my mom redid the kitchen and the bugs were pretty much gone, so they sealed it. But boy, before that, it's cockroach heaven in Florida. There's like 7 varieties of cockroaches in Florida. What do they call? Yeah, the palmetto bugs. Everything's called palmetto half the time. Again, what happened is that the immigrants started strong arming and taking over. I'll tell you, it's not all in the news, right? Thanks, Larry. And then there's a metaphysic to that. More money. Like all the immigrants have more money than me. Why in New Mexico? Because they're all into drugs and prostitution and everything else. They have their day job, but cops were corrupt. As far as I can tell, DHS and FBI were corrupt too in New Mexico. And again, that's even memorialized in books where former agents have said some things. I'm not a snitch. They are, but they're snitching about things I didn't even, I didn't do. It's like Jussie Smollett was the best way to explain that, but even worse. They're saying he did this, he did. I mean, they're disgusting. There was no need to do it. They're liars. And even in Naples, they did it. That was disgusting. All that opportunity in Naples, and that's what they decided to do. Right? Because somebody was paying. What else? Now, like crime bosses in Naples. A lot of crime bosses in Naples. Right. See, I told you that this was going to happen, I think. So, something, AI generated child sex abuse videos surging online, Watchdog says. 400% increase. Again, somebody's working that angle too, like inside, trying to make people do that. I've heard from it. Right. So you got to watch. You got to look at this. You can't poo-poo it, but you got to try to get the prices down because they're saying the prices are going up already. It takes a little while for everything to hit. Right. Okay, lunch. Well, it wasn't all that much though. Oh wait. Maybe it is. Hang on. I thought it was just a 1% increase. Well, we have to look at this same time last year. Oh, there it is. Gas price index for goods. The prices were coming down. Now they're going back up. They're actually higher than they were in October 2024. Right. We need to, Well, actually, there could be deflation kind of effect. It wouldn't necessarily translate into deflation. So money being spent decreasing, the final layoffs but most of the people that left the federal government have some place to go. They either have a retirement or they have a better job, I would imagine. Right. So I don't know if that's going to cause a decrease in expenditure of money. October, possibly. Okay, so we do have the infrastructure bill that released money in October. So that was a spend thing. And I guess this administration is spending a little bit again. I don't know. I'm trying to look at Elon's argument that government spending causes inflation. I don't really believe that that's it, but I think it's just greed. Well, I think business owners once upon a time said, how's this going to affect the larger economy? And again, you get into that 2008 mindset that crashed the economy. Yeah, I mean, they're going to make noise, right? In fact, the one guy who spoke to The media sounds like he looks like a prima donna. I mean, he's lived some wealthy kind of life. Right. So of course, he's going to be. Right. Again, this wouldn't have been necessary if they hadn't let so many people in that shouldn't have been here to begin with. Right. And then a lot of this is the course of the immigration process running its fruition. Right. Well, Biden was doing what he's supposed to do. If they allowed you to stay here, they should have gave you some permanency. And that, again, they're trying to take some permanency from some people, but right. I think the government can only take permanency if the offense occurred after they gave the person any level of permanency. So if somebody had a murder conviction and you gave them a green card, or the government gave them a green card, I don't think you can take it unless they do something else. Right. The court would say, you gave them a green card after the offense, therefore you can't take it for that offense. Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Larry. Thanks, Larry. Support the CIA. Sheriff Joe's there. Actually, I think Sheriff Joe's now healthier than I am. You guys killed me. I had no right to do it. I'm using like CIA level technology for decades. So don't let them say, oh, I did it and I did it in like 1 month. Right. So the big thing is you need to step away from what they're saying and get your head wrapped around reality. You're not speaking about an amnesty program. You're speaking about a work visa program that, they'll have to renew every so often and they'll be monitored. Right. Sure. So again, what they're trying to trigger you by calling it amnesty, and trigger the MAGA-ites or MAGA-ites, whatever it is. And they were continuing at least yesterday to put unflattering photos of Pam Bondi up there. And she's, women sweat and they have makeup on it. Right. We used to have camouflage on. It would sweat and it would run the camouflage and all that. So, so they're trying to do Sheriff Joe's stuff now. He was actually the fairest guy. I mean, whether you liked him or not, he went after everybody that was involved, right? Even the big business owners. That's probably why they got rid of him. Right. All right. Well, it's just, again, religious people generally don't understand what makes something unsustainable. Again, if you are not intelligent about what you're doing, you're actually causing people to be put into bondage, and you're causing poverty, and you're causing people to be sex slaves and human trafficked and work slaves and everything else. So as a spiritual leader, if you're pro unchecked immigration, then you have no idea what you're speaking about. But again, it's a sin to speak ignorantly like that, because you can't help the overall community. I mean, there are some people that will have, but then you're increasing the have-nots of people that come to this country. And then what's happening is we spend so much money here, we don't spend money on their countries. So again, there is a government, again, the gift of government. You don't have the gift of government, and that's what the issue is. I'll be back in a second. Well, actually, no, I'm going to get off here. I have to go do a few things. Well, stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.